Afternoon, everybody. It's KB5 MIQ Big Boy. Storming here in northeast Texas. I can't get on the air, so a few subjects, DLX and HKV, give me some ideas for another video. So we're gonna go into some things here. Some of these I may have touched on in previous videos. We're gonna get a little deeper into them today. And like I've always said, I keep this channel centered around new hams. Us guys on a budget, so this is a lot of questions we see new hams asking. Before I get into the thing I was going to talk about on what does a QSO conversation consist of, and what, people ask, what do I say when I get on the air? HKV brought up a subject the other day that I've never messed with a lot. I'm fooling with a little bit today. He's into it pretty good. Web-based shortwave radio listening, monitored through the internet. And pretty cool. I've got it's a websdr.org, and it's got all kinds of links there to different stations. You can click what band, tune up down to frequency. I just listed some 20 meter QSOs going on ham bands. So might let somebody that's interested in this hobby but not sure what to say or how the conversations go, give them another avenue to listen to stuff. And we've all got a computer, most of us, and internet access. That's ham shack now without a computer, and it's kind of rarity. Even back when I first got into this, when Packet come out, I had a dumb terminal hooked up to a PK88, and I ended up with a Commodore 64 and a 128 in my shack before I kind of went dormant for several years. Of course, now I got a Windows-based computer in here now. But it's pretty cool. websdr.org for shortwave radio listed. Y'all check it out and give you some good ideas there. HKV and DLX both give me some ideas on this next subject. And we see people asking this on social media a lot, like, okay, what do I say in a QSO, and what do things people say in a QSO means? And like your RS, your signal report. All right, DLX and HKV both brought this up. If somebody says you're 5'9" on me, what does that mean? Well, the 5 is your interpretation of how clear his audio is from 0 to 5. 5 being the best, of course 0 you probably can't hear him. But that's just how the audio sounds to you. Is he clear? Is there background noise on it? Can you understand him good? And if you can, most of the time I just say, yeah, you're 5, whatever signal is. Now the 9 comes from the actual reading on your S meter when you're receiving the guy's signal. So when you're talking to him, it's always a good idea the first time look at your meter, see what it's saying. The older meters with the analog needle on them, you kind of had to look at them pretty close, especially if you had bad eyes, and see what it says. And a lot of times say you're 5'9" plus on your peak and 10 over. And talking single sideband using PEP modulation, your voice peaks will make your transmit power will fluctuate while you're in the middle of the conversation. Like these new, radio I got now, it just says S7. It's got a sliding scale, and S9, and level plus if it's over S9, and that's all you're telling him is what his signal sounds like to you, your interpretation from 0 to 5, and the signal strength, actual received signal strength on his transmission. And he'll tell you the same thing. And the longer you're into this hobby, you'll be able to tell, listen to people, who's running probably the same power you are, or who's running QRP. They usually identify themselves as QRP, which is running low power. Usually, I'm going to say 10, I don't know what the exact QRP limit is, but I'm going to say 10 watts or less, or 5 watts or less. I know the ICOM 705 that they've just come out with as a QRP radio is a 10 watt or less radio. The 818 Yaesu is a 6 watt radio, and they're both considered QRP radios. Well, somebody will say QRP, and you'll know they're running low power. If you hear somebody really booming, loud, they're probably going to be the guy that's going to be 5'9", 20 over on the guy that you're listening to. and you probably figure out they're running an amp. But there used to be, and if you're doing CW, which I'm not good at it, but it's an RST report. The last T means tone. Now, every CW operator's going to have to answer that question. I'd have to get HKV to explain it to me because I don't work CW. But that's all that means. When you make a QSO, a lot of times, to give you an example, I had this happen the other day. I had a guy said the foreign station, he couldn't get my call right off the bat, so when I called him back the second time, I said, "This is Kilowatt, Bravo 5, Mexico, India, Quebec. I have you 5-9 into Avery, Texas." Then he got my call and he understood the 5-9 and was able to initiate our conversation from there. They always want to know where you're at. Always give them a location. A lot of these guys are county hunters. And I'll say I'm Avery, Texas, Red River County. And I haven't seen a county hunter in a while, but I have had people that have worked all states. Now they're trying to work all counties. And a lot of guys want to know what county you're in. Type of equipment you're using. And a lot of them will say, well, the working conditions here are such and such radio, type of antenna, running barefoot or amp. And like me, I'll say I'm running my station is a Yaesu FT897D, and depending on what band I'm on, what antenna I'm using, run 100 watts barefoot. So that's just simple conversation. A lot of them may want to know the grid square you're in, and you should be able to find that either on your license or on your QRZ page under detail. I hadn't had anybody ask me for a grid square in a long time, but I keep my QRZ page pulled up. I keep QRZ pulled up where I can check their call while I'm working. So if anybody asks that, I can get to my page real quick and give them that answer. How long you been licensed? A lot of guys want to know how long you been a ham radio operator. And if you're working a contest, and I haven't got one of these, the 1010 contest, they want your 1010 number. So, and then after that, depending on the band conditions and what the guy that you're talking to is looking for, you'll either end the contact and he'll go to another contact, or he may just want to sit and talk. And that's just the way this hobby is. Back in the heyday of 10 meters in the early 90s, I talked to a guy in San Felice, Italy for 45 minutes one day. He just asking questions about where I lived, what we did, and tell me about his family and stuff like that. We had a really nice conversation. And it was just like we're sitting there across the table talking to one another. Wasn't no radio lingo involved. So that, we talked earlier about different types of communicating through 10 code, CB lingo, ham radio lingo, things like that. Once you just start talking to somebody, you're just talking. You might say over or QS, you get in the habit of saying QSL, which a lot of the Q code people will tell you using it wrong, but I've heard it used like that all my life, all my career in this hobby. But that's just part of ham radio. It's a good, easy way to make your contacts. Like I said, the main information, if the guy is just wanting to make contacts as many as he can, he wants to know his signal report and your location for sure. And if he's a contester, and if it's a 1010 number, if you've got a 1010 number, you have to give him your 1010 number, and so on and so forth. And after that, it's just talking. Real easy. So don't be deterred by trying to get on HF word if you're going to say things right. You'll understand it, you'll listen to it, and you'll understand real quick. And a lot of people are telling you the HF bands are dead right now, and I don't really always believe that. I do know 10 meters is not as active as it once was. It's picking up. But do I call it dead? Not really. When I tuned up last night for our nightly roundtable, there was a net I could hear in the background on 450, on stateside net going. Couldn't make contact with them, but we moved our chat to 455, And I had a guy in Puerto Rico come in just loud. He was 5'9" plus on me, and I made the contact with him, and it faded out pretty quick. But it was good enough contact. I logged it in QRZ, and he confirmed it. So that was at 7:40 Central Standard Time last night. You know, 10 meters is not as active as it once was, but it is picking up, and good band to make contacts on. 17, same with 17. I've made some real good contacts here lately on 17. So get on the bands. 20 meters is kind of crowded. Once you get general class, of course you got to be general to get on 17 too. But you new techs, if you're worried about getting on HF, go to WebSDR and listen to some shortwave listening. My camera skills are horrible, and your computer skills, younger guys, are going to be better than mine. So you won't have any problem navigating through the website if I can. But navigate through there, tune around in the bands, and just listen. And you'll hear a lot of stuff. It's a good way to get some exposure to HF and long-range communications. Get you some QSL cards made. That's not a real expensive part of the hobby. CheapQSLs.com makes some excellent cards. That's who I got mine made with. And I had to get some new ones. I've got some of my original cards left, but the address is wrong on them. But I made some new ones up. And send them cards out and start collecting them. I just got a Mexico contact. I sent a card with it, but it's an island. He's got a Mexico call, but it's an island, so I'm going to put it with my island contacts. Island contacts, I like to get them because there's not that many people on a lot of these islands, and sometimes good to get a card from them. Got a card out for French Guiana. I got it here on 10 3 weeks ago, so I hope we get that card back. Don't be deterred on 10 meters if people tell you, oh, you're just hearing Central America on there. Well, they do come in pretty loud on 10 a lot. But there's a lot of countries to work down there. You'll hear Brazil and Argentina a lot. But hang in there. I got Uruguay the other day, and I've worked Honduras. And if you'll look at long pass skip, it may just be skipping in that direction, but if you're working Argentine stations, that's a pretty long pass skip to be working on single sideband. So I always work them Central South American stations as I hear them. And, if it's a station I've talked to several times, unless nobody answering them, I'll let somebody else answer. They're called a CQ. But I'll answer any CQ call whether I've worked the country or not. And just if nobody's answering it. And that's just part of the hobby. Well, I appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. We're up to 302 subscribers now. I enjoy doing these videos, and I really enjoy doing them with W5DLX and WD5HKV's help. I'll probably have a couple more videos posted in June, 2 or 3 coming up here. But we are planning on doing a field day operation, and then we're going to video that. So that will be coming out into June after the field day. Probably going to do overnight type setup. We're working on getting everything together on it now. So, get on the bands. Listen to HF on web-based shortwave. That way you can hear what's going on and get a little exposure to it. You techs, depending on your budget, you buy what you can afford. If you need an elmer to help you, try to find one if you're looking at used gear. But try to get on the low bands. But you pick out your radio. Our last video I put out was how to pick out a radio. You pick out what you can afford and what you can use and run with it. And if you can afford a full up rig and you're planning on getting general, go for all means, go for it. Just operate where you're licensed at. That's the main thing. Okay, main trading company in Parish. They got online sales, good company to deal with. Check out your local ham clubs. There's some great local ham pages on Facebook. Four States Amateur Radio Club, which covers our area up here. Dallas Amateur Radio, Cowtown Amateur Radio, Shreveport Amateur Radio, all good sources of local information for local hams that can probably give you some help. Keep an eye on your Facebook pages, Ham Radio Flea Market Trading Post, Amateur Radio Elmer's, Texas, I think it's Texas Ham Radio Operators, all kinds of Facebook pages. Again, my call sign is KB5MIQ. My email's posted on the QRZ page. Feel free to email me or leave me a comment here. Any way I can answer a question, I try to answer everybody's comment and emails I get. I really appreciate them coming in. Well, thanks everybody again who subscribed to the channel. This is KB5MIQ Big Boy 73.